2, 1.
Hey guys, welcome to the second podcast of the month where we talk about IT news, tech news, and just anything tech related. And of course, we have here Hamid and of course Michael Z, who are joining us, who are very gracious to join us today as well to kind of continue on this monthly episode with us. And without further ado, we'll actually jump into our first segment where we actually talk about one of the, if not the biggest breach in pretty much in man known history or in history that we know today. So the first slide that talks about is the 16 billion password leaked. So basically all main social media sites like Facebook, Apple, Google, GitHub, like anything that is considered mainstream popular apparently got their database leaked, and that includes commonly reused passwords. So that could be your banking password, that could be your password to, grandma's bank account, right? So yeah, change your password and scan for any passwords that are compromised. You can actually do this through a lot of various channels. So Have I Been Pwned is an absolute great site for checking if your passwords got leaked in any sort of known data breaches. And you can also use anything like Google Chrome Password Manager to see if there's any compromised passwords, or if you already use a password manager, there should be a built-in watchtower actually that basically scans and tells you if there's any compromised password. And personally, my favorite one is 1Password. I like using 1Password because it's a very simple to use password manager and works across all platforms: Windows, Mac OS, iPhones, Androids. Um, and at the end of the day, I think anybody who has any sort of password, and I think that's literally anybody watching this monthly podcast or this YouTube broadcast, if you don't want to call it here, should use a password manager. And kind of we're moving towards the phase of using passkeys now, which in other words is passwordless authentication. You're basically using a trusted device like your handy dandy iPhone to authenticate, to confirm, like, hey, if this is you logging in, rather than prompting for a password and MFA, which can be intercepted. So again, recommend changing your password and using a password manager to generate a unique, safe and unique passwords for every application, every site that you use. And yeah, and chances are if you have one compromised account, you don't have to think about your other platforms, I guess you want to call it. But yes, this was the biggest password known leak in history. And yeah, moving forward, speaking of leaks, so Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Co. And for those who don't know, this is the company that manufactures NVIDIA's AI chips. Apparently, had a few former employees that kind of got a little pockets deep and try to steal proprietary information. And specifically, this is for their 2nm or 2 nanometer technology, which is right now considered to be the most advanced in the world, and try to basically steal that information and potentially sell it to competitors. And how they were detected and found was their abnormal file and data access, and at abnormal hours. And right now, there's no charges being laid or anything. Right now, it's just an ongoing investigation for 3 former employees. When I saw the news today, it was actually 2, but then by afternoon, they actually updated to 3. So right now, it's an ongoing investigation, and I'm sure everybody is on high alert for this because, again, these AI chips are literally going to be the next gen processors and computing powers that everyone's going to be looking towards for it. And at the end of the day, if somebody can easily get access to such data, like you can just imagine how much access they have to the backend database and whatnot, and to user data, which obviously poses a security risk. So again, this is just a suspicion by, confirmed by TSM, but they're not saying that there was any data breaches. But again, this is just an alleged situation. So yeah.
So the next one, I think, is about the hydrogen next generation of electric bike and electric cars. You know that for many years we are using that lithium as the main source of like EV cars and electric bikes. So that's like a next generation of a bike, like based on the hydrogen that this company Alfa Neo um, introduced for the first time. And you know that the hydrogen, one of the things about the hydrogen is totally environment friendly. You know that lithium that they're extracting from the environment is totally not environment friendly. So, and if you look at the range compared to electric, like the lithium base, you see that here on the hydrogen we have more range, and even when you want to charge it, it's like less than 2 minutes that you can charge this bike. Even you know that's this news had like happened in BC for someone that had an electric bike based on the lithium that caught fire. That's for July 2nd. So this is kind of drawback of batteries that we are facing. Another one about the Jack Dorsey that's like introducing new messaging app, and I think it's very good one because when you're out of like cities and you don't have an internet connection and you're looking for some connection or for some application to send a message to your friends or family. So this is going to be like next generation of connection based on the Bluetooth mesh. Um, so it works like that. So if you have a like Bluetooth connection on your phone, you use nearby Bluetooth connection to make a mesh connection and send your message to the destination. So the name of this like is BitChat, and I think is very good um, application like the Twitter that now is called X is going to be like very good application in the future.
Okay, so this is the one I'm going to talk about. As we know, all three of us we live in Canada. So, this particular partnership was very interesting. Not only to see, a giant telecom company wanting to invest in AI, but seeing a Canadian company for the very first time was for me at least a very proud moment. Now, a lot of the online reaction to this has been that this is a very strong partnership. Obviously, wanting to integrate AI into telecom is a huge step up. We talk about AI quite often, and there are different usages for AI, but this one was very interesting. Definitely caught my eye, seeing that a giant telecom company, Bell, Rogers, TELUS, these three big players, seeing Bell taking a leap, obviously shows that not only they're a strong company, but they want to invest in AI and they want to use AI tools to improve the infrastructure. So for me, it definitely was a welcoming sign, and the online reaction has definitely been mixed because it definitely seems like they've had some U.S. investors involved in this. But I think overall, I was very happy to see that. Can we go to the
Yeah.
next slide?
And actually, adding on to this current slide, the Cohere AI was actually known for enhanced customer support and basically customer center operations. So I think with this, hopefully we'll see some improvements with, Bell and call centers, because as we know, like phone providers and ISP providers, they're very notorious for like long holding times in terms of customer support. So hopefully with this partnership here, at least starting with Bell, it could really set the bar and standard for enhanced customer service, shorter wait times, and customers being able to get assisted quicker, even if that means logging into your account and having Cohere AI kind of operate like ChatGPT Enterprise, where basically Cohere AI is tied to Bell's own LLM in the backend. And if I'm logged into my account, I could basically be like, hey, please set my uh, Bell phone to bridge mode or anything like that, and that way I can make the change without needing human interference basically, and having to wait on the line for over 2 hours just to get any sort of support. So I think this will hopefully set and raise the bar for other telecom companies to come. And yeah, I think this is actually a very interesting partnership where a phone telecom company is picking up on AI to where the AI model that they chose is to enhance customer experience, customer support experience.
Fair enough. So the other one I was going to talk about today, and thank you for the input, is, as Hamid Reza mentioned, initially, battery tech improving and just seeing that improvement in battery tech to reduce fires. Now, as we live in Vancouver, we're definitely not privy, but we do see a lot of these, different types of fires happening with battery powered vehicles, battery powered scooters. So, when I heard about this news, it's definitely welcoming, not only seeing improvements in the battery technology, but just finding steps, improving the, overall technology to get it to a place where, we reduce these and, cause less fires, especially, whether I believe the future of transportation is going to be electric powered. That is not a question for me. That's a question for the industry, but is definitely welcome to see that we're finding alternatives to transportation. And seeing this was for me at least very good news. As we know, especially in Asia, you're seeing a rapid growth in battery powered cars. We're seeing companies like Xiaomi making battery powered cars that are far better, more powerful, better technology. So it's definitely welcoming. But when I saw this, as Hamid Reza mentioned, we're seeing far more often batteries catching on fire. So this definitely very welcoming to me, and I would like to see even more technologies, not only to reduce the fires, maybe even have suppression systems that are basically built into these batteries, and that can basically just eliminate the fires ever happening. So that was definitely welcoming for me.
So yeah, that's I think the one of the articles that I read on the internet about the next generation of the cars is based on the like a battery or based on the hydrogen. So one of the like Toyota like is saying that the next generation of the cars definitely is not based on the battery, and they're focusing more on hybrid cars. They're bringing some technology, so their main focus is more on hydrogen. Let's see what happens in the future. Maybe we will face like a better technology in the batteries.
For sure, yeah, and I do think the only catch with hydrogen is that um, the the challenging part is actually getting refueling part for the
Yeah,
hydrogen, because right now there's obviously limited supplies and more so safe transportation of it. It's not just like a gas tank trucker where you can easily transport it from west coast east coast vice versa, because if it does catch on fire with hydrogen, it's 100 times more explosive and
yeah,
more flammable than lithium ion battery. But in comparison, the tech and the technology behind it is a lot safer in comparison to any like runaway fires, I think is what some people call them. And then I think there are new tech being put in place, especially for lithium ion based batteries, where I think right now some of the firefighters are calling it the fireman access, where basically it's a adhesive discs that kind of attach to each lithium cell battery. So when and it's like a mini port that runs underneath the car, and essentially what happens is the firemen will attach their hose to it, and when they fill that runaway with water, it'll cool all the cells all together instead of just one, where basically where when a lithium ion catches on fire, you can only really get to the center of the core when you really bring it down from the outside, which then becomes problematic because lithium ion has a lot of energy and a lot of capacity to burn on forever. So I do think that the hydrogen move is a really smart move, but I do think that there are going to be challenges in mass production, especially with the hydrogen refueling station to safe transportation of just hydrogen in general. Kind of sort of like where you're if you modify your car in any way, shape, or form, where you want to run E85, like getting E85 fuel is a pretty big challenge here, and I'm sure in a lot of parts of the world as well. So I do think that if they have the tech in place to safe transport hydrogen, I think hydrogen will definitely be the future.
And my favorite news of, I would say, this month was when I read some headlines about Samsung and Tesla deal for semiconductors. Now, understanding that these two behemoth companies making a deal like that worth, I think, $16.5 billion I think was definitely bold for both companies. I definitely have some points to address. Definitely for Tesla, it shows that it's basically going to ensure their long term, the domestic slash foreign partnerships, but also and it gives them the ability to produce far more volume of cars than they were initially. They were definitely dependent on more companies, let's say in the eastern side of the hemisphere. Now they're basically focusing on one company, one chip manufacturer, and I think that's great for both of them. It brings a good point. When I was reading about this news, that some of the concerns online was the fact that this particular partnership can be good, particularly for Samsung, because they, obviously have different businesses that they don't only just produce phones. They definitely wanted to improve their chip making, their foundries in the U.S. But I think for me, it's a little bit questionable because they're basically aiming to make these operational in 2026 2028, so a couple of years from now. And as Michael K mentioned initially, we're seeing a lot of changes happening in the chip manufacturing, the technology related to this stuff. So definitely wanted to ask the question to you guys. For me, it definitely is great to see two big companies making a deal. I'm not a fan, but I think it can be helpful for the industry as a whole. But I do have those points as of concern. But I do want to know, what do you guys think of this? And you guys can go each of you. You tell me.
Yeah, I do think that with this deal, it's a great start in terms of, implementing AI everywhere, especially in a vehicle which is basically at this rate driven by technology to an extent, where you control the car functions through the big screen, and to depending on the area of where you sit or where you live, you might have the FSD, for example. So I do think that this deal here, the $16.5 billion deal, is going to shake things up for sure. But I also do think that this is actually a very, very smart deal on Tesla's end, just because if you think about it, actually on both Samsung and Tesla's, because if you think about it, if they start implementing it into Tesla, and if they start implementing it into the Tesla iPad specifically. Now, that particular chip, maybe it can start playing into hand to hand with Android phones, perhaps even iPhones down the line, and start collecting data on how users drive. And then now, who knows? Down the line, we might have better accurate maps, better accurate displays, and not only that, but then with these AI chips, what happens when half the road is filled with Teslas, right? They talk to each other and be like, hey, there's a car merging and the car, and if I'm driving straight in a Tesla, will my Tesla slow down for me, kind of thing, right? Well, it brings up all these big questions, and I do think that this will be a start to like a new realm, basically, where there's a lot of undiscovered areas with this kind of tech and with this deal here in particular, just because these guys are basically at this rate the manufacturer giants. For example, Samsung obviously is the biggest, if not the largest corporation in Korea. Tesla being one, if not the biggest, at least automobile manufacturer in and around North American side of things, right? Where basically, if these guys strike a deal and they start leveraging both their techs, I think it won't just be one or two players that are affected. It won't be a small player. It would be like a very big deal where now potentially global brands that we've never heard about, especially on the Asia side, European side, they probably feel threatened. And I think this really opens up a door gateway to especially automotive manufacturers to striking deals with each other. Just like how a few months ago there was talk between Honda and Mitsubishi and Nissan to strike a deal together. I think this really opens up the door for that, and companies working together, striking deals to, take that next step. Where you think a car doesn't need anything AI related, but here we are today.
Yeah, I agree with Michael. So we'll see more AI technology, more smart cars. So similar to Samsung that you see, that's a very, I think, big deal. That makes Tesla unique, in the world. So I think that's Michael. Do you have any other news or? Or
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
that
that's all I had for today. Michael Z, do you have anything else that you might want to add?
No,
Anything else
I
that we might be
I
missing?
appreciate anybody who tunes in and watches this. We really enjoy all the feedback we're getting, and hopefully we'll make more episodes about this stuff.
yeah, we're coming back next month with a like better news, better tech news, and we try to have like select some of the best ones for the next month.
For sure. Sounds good.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, let's wrap it up at that, and then yeah, Hamid and Michael Z, appreciate you joining me today. And then what we'll do is we'll wrap this one up, and yeah, we'll see you back here in the next month for our next monthly podcast. It'll be a third one.
Thank you.
Bye.